What is going on, everyone? I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and today I'm here to give you my review on Rayman Legends. Now, Rayman Legends is a direct sequel to Rayman Origins, where you find your heroes waking up from a 100-year nap to find out that the nightmares have spread over to the Glad of Dreams, and it's up to you to save the 10 seas and to defeat the most powerful creatures you faced, along with sea monsters, dragons, and other legendary beasts. As for the graphics, how are the overall graphics in Rayman Legends? And I gotta say, the graphics are just beautiful, from the level design, the character details, even the stuff that happens in the far backgrounds during the levels as you're playing the game are really beautifully well done. Not only that, even the menu system as you select what kind of world you want to play on in terms of what level you want to choose, that is probably one of the best ones I've seen as well. So pretty much every single part of this game is beautifully crafted. There is a huge graphical improvements from what was featured in Rayman Origins to Legends. So overall, the graphics are outstanding no matter what platform you're playing on. As for the gameplay, how's the overall gameplay? Well, for those of you who are familiar with Rayman Origins, the gameplay is pretty much going to be exactly the same. The only difference here is that there's been some improvements on some of the characters. For example, if there's a character that you played in Origins that didn't feel just right or something was off about the character, they have made improvements to those characters and play a lot better and feel more useful in Legends. Also too, in the game, for those of you who are not familiar with the Rayman Origins, it's pretty much a simple platformer. You have infinite amount of life, so basically it's impossible to lose unless if you choose to rage quit in the game. In terms of difficulty, the game doesn't have a easy, medium, or hard difficulty option. Instead, on each of the paintings located on the bottom are these little skull icons. One skull equals obviously pretty much like an easy, and I believe it goes up to a total of 5, indicating the difficulty of the levels. Now, it's not difficult to the point where you can't finish it, it's just there's a chance that you're going to end up dying more in it, and you have to kind of restart back at a certain checkpoint within the game. And sometimes it can get a little bit of frustrating, especially when you get far, or if you keep dying at the same part. It happened to me at least a few times during my playthrough. And of course, you also have these little blue creatures. Now, I don't know what the creatures are called, so I do apologize about that. But basically, there's going to be a total of 10 throughout each of the levels. Some are going to have 3, for example, some of the time matches or even the boss fights. Now, these little blue creatures are pretty much important to collect, because what's going to happen is that when you get further into the game, if you choose to ignore them, you're going to notice that some of the levels you can't play because you need to have a certain amount of these creatures. For example, there may be a point in the game where you need to have 50 or 60 to unlock that specific painting to continue that level. So, of course, the main thing to do as you play the game is pretty much take your time. Some levels you won't be able to take your time because you have to run away from a certain creature or object, or even during a boss fight as well. But a lot of levels you can pretty much take your time, try to find them, search for hidden pathways. If you notice like a little pathway on the bottom that you think might be a pathway, but then again it could be just a trap where you can end up dying. And like I said, you have infinite amount of life, so explore every little crevice that you can find to find these hidden creatures, because like I said, they're going to help you unlock more additional levels, especially during one of the paintings that are locked requires 400 of them. So that's pretty much an important thing to do, especially if you're the person who's going to try to go for 100% completion on this. Definitely search for every single one of them. Now, of course, this game does feature multiplayer mode, where you can play up to 4 additional players. However, when you have all 4 people on the screen at once, it gets really chaotic and just doesn't really work out as well. However, if you're playing with just 2 players or just by yourself, that works out a lot better. So in terms of the multiplayer aspect, 2 players or less is the way to go, because it's a lot more cleaner and just works out a lot better. Not only that, you also have a kind of like a playable character it's a little fly creature. I believe his name is Murphy, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that statement. Now, unlike the PlayStation Vita and Wii U version, where it utilizes the touchscreen and gyro systems within the game, if you're playing it on the 360 or PS3, for example, since I played on the 360, you don't get to control him like those platforms. Instead, you're going to be controlling the main character still, and you're pushing the B button to help certain platforms. For example, there may be a segment in the game where there's these for example, there's a fire going around on the screen, and there's these little platforms that are blocking the fire. So what I have to do is to get him to move those platforms around so I can continue my progress throughout the levels. Pretty much things like that. You also have this little soccer match, I believe it's called Kung Fu or something like that, where you can play with 2 players on these little fun soccer matches. It's actually really enjoyable. It's definitely well worth checking out. But just pretty much the gameplay, like I said, it's similar to Rayman Origins. Actually, it's pretty much exactly the same as Rayman Origins. Just a simple platform, a ton of fun little experience, even the including of multiplayer, so you could choose to play with a friend if you choose to do so. As for the sound, how's the overall sound in Rayman Legends? And I gotta say, the soundtrack is fantastic. What I really like is that the music that plays in the background fits the tone on those levels really well. It's just really fun to listen to. Not only that, also at the end of each of the paintings, you're presented with these really cool musical levels that you're able to play. And pretty much everything that you do during those musical levels fit the tone in terms of the beat really well. It's really enjoyable, but my only gripe with those musical levels is that it's extremely short. I wish those were longer, but in terms of the overall soundtrack, the soundtrack is just fantastic and top notch. As for the lifespan, what kind of lifespan do we see in a game like this? To me, this game has such a fantastic lifespan because there's just so much to do within the game. You do have the online portion, so you can play that little soccer match, or online to play with a friend. You also have so many levels to complete. You have a lot of new levels and remastered levels from the Rayman Origins game series, which is really cool, so it's nice to revisit some of those. Not only that, you also have those blue creatures that you're able to collect. So if you're the type of person who's trying to go for the 100% completion, this is something that's probably going to take you somewhere, I would say, between 20 to 40 hours to complete everything, which is a lot of game content. So basically, if you're the type of person who's trying to find a simple game to put in that loads up really fast, this is a game that you're going to easily put in. The levels load up really quick. I think the longest wait time I had was 1.5 seconds, which is not really that long in the first place. But like I said, this game has a lot of replay value. It's a simple, fun platform, infinite lives, so just so much to do, so much to collect. You also have these little collectibles and the daily and weekly challenges where you're able to compete on the leaderboards with everyone else. But other than that, the lifespan within this game is great and definitely something that's going to hold you over even months and years after time goes by. As for the innovative, was there anything new, or was the stuff that we've already seen before? Like I said, this is pretty much stuff that we've seen before in Rayman Origins. Now, like for me, if I were to say if you had to pick between Origins or Legends, I say get Legends because it has a lot of improvements it made towards Origins, and just overall this one was really well done. In the end, I want to give Rayman Legends a full 10 out of 10. If you guys would like to see some gameplay, you guys could check the link down below. Anyways, I'm Sir James on Gamerfuzion, and remember, Gamerfuzion empowers your gaming.